Namaste and welcome to Wise Owl Career Guide. Today we have Flying Officer Miss Ishita, retired from Indian Air Force, joining us today to talk about her career journey. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, welcome. Thanks, Neha. Thanks for having me on board, and thanks for welcoming me in your talk show.
Ma'am, before we come to your Air Force journey, what has been your educational background?
Basically, I am a mixed baggage because my father was also an Air Force officer. So I traveled all across the countryside. In the sense, like I did my schooling in various different schools. But to summarize it, I can proudly say I'm Kendriya Vidyalaya pass out because I did my crucial years of student life from Kendriya Vidyalaya. I
Okay.
did my 10th and 11th and 12th from Kendriya Vidyalaya. And I did the PCM thing, that is physics, chemistry, and maths. And I was basically preparing myself for CPMT. And
Uh-huh.
that is when in 1992, when I finished my 12th standard, there was a declaration that the women officers will be also inducted in the armed forces. And that was the time when I had to decide whether I want to get into the medicine side, which I was preparing all throughout, or this was something which came up new. Then I did my graduation from Agra.
Mhm.
There is RBS College, so I did my graduation there and from Agra University. And then I started preparing myself for Defense Forces while I was in the graduation itself. So I'm basically a scout and guide as well. So I'm at national
Okay.
level. So I was basically preparing myself the moment I got to know that Defense Forces is also having it, and I dropped the idea of getting into medicine.
Okay. So how did air traffic control come into this entire thing?
See, basically, it was like that. No matter what, wanted to get into my father's shoes. So I hero worshipped him. He was a very handsome man, and he used to look dashing in uniform. So I was like, even when I was trying for medicine, it was just that because that was the only avenue available for us women to get into the armed forces. So I was basically trying for FMC, and then when it all opened up for us, then I said, flying was another second passion that I had nurtured basically. I did try for flying, and because I didn't have the height, I mean, I lost it by 1 centimeter.
Oh.
The next best thing I could get closer to was ATC. So it was a dream for me to get into uniform of Indian Air Force, like my father. And then the second
Mhm.
dream was to get anything closer to aviation. So that was the next best thing I could get in. So it was not the first choice, but it was my second best choice.
Okay. So, how was the experience working in the armed forces and working in a field of air traffic control, which was predominantly male, dominated role?
No, ATC agreed it is a male dominated thing because I used to be the only woman in the entire tower, and then we had AFSOs who are the supporting staff for the ATC, and then we had air traffic controllers and then pilots also. So now, I mean, we did have women pilots, but very rarely. I still recollect when I used to go to briefing room, I used to be the only woman sitting there at 5 o'clock morning briefing. So it wasn't. One is, I would say, I was privileged. I was because I was a defense officer's daughter myself, and joining Indian Air Force was going back into the my same professional family wherein I was born and brought up, and so it didn't look little different to me. Uh, Male dominating is that is the reason I said it in the beginning, that I'm proud that I'm from Kendriya Vidyalaya, because Kendriya Vidyalaya allows you to mix with both the other gender, and it doesn't make you feel that you're a woman as such. So I always
Right.
studied in co-ed, And also Scouts and Guide gave me the opportunity. And at home also, I mean, I'll give the credit, due credit to my parents, because we had two sisters and we were never allowed to think that we're just women. We were allowed to, expand our wings and fly anytime we wanted, in any way we wanted. So put in all together, the home atmosphere as well as the environment outside, it all built it up that I could never feel that it was a male dominated environment that I was getting into ATC. And I also give the credit to the Indian Air Force, and my colleagues from the Air Force, who very easily transitioned from completely a male dominated domain to accepting a woman, and
Mhm.
understanding that she will come with her own set of uh, things. She will, like, I went for my maternity leave, I got married, then I had my maternity leave, then I had my baby feeding 10 times. So basically they also accommodated us, so it all worked.
Right.
I mean, the whole as the system fell into place, and then we were accommodated, so it wasn't very inconvenient. But I would not miss the opportunity to say that initially, yes, we all women officers from the trial services did have teething problems in terms of
Right.
infrastructure, logistical issues. Like our ATC didn't have women toilet. So,
Right.
my boss had to agree, okay, fine, now that we have a woman amongst us, and now that they're going to come more and more, so we have to start arranging. So we paved the way for the next generation of people to join the forces, and things are now eased off for them. But yes, we did have initial teething problems, I would say. But the mindset issue was not an issue from my side as well as from that side.
Okay. So, ma'am, to be a part of air traffic controlling role, is there any kind of special training that is required? What is the
It is.
educational aspect of it?
Yeah, yeah. See, basically, you have to be physics, chemistry, math student, and in the Director General of Aviation, that is DGA, they prefer engineers. But in the armed forces, they started taking people who did their graduation from PCM vertical, and the reason why it was because you have to be very analytical. And
Okay.
ATC is the core job. I mean, it's not a huge set of books that you have to read. It's just a manual, which is international standard manual, that is like an air traffic controller sitting in India will use the same language and same controlling methods that is used anywhere in the world. So it's international standard, which is called ICAW. So that is so basically their requirement is that you have to be analytical. You have to be very you have to think very fast, because in ATC, especially in the armed forces ATC, you have to be a very quick thinker. So you can't wait, you can't mull over something, and you can't take a decision. So in a matter fraction of seconds, you have to take a decision, and it has to be 99.9% correct decision. There is no scope of
Right.
mistakes. So I mean, recently you would have heard about this air miss that happened between, almost an air miss in Nepal, airspace, between Air India and Nepal air traffic controlling. So basically, these are the things that it is amount life there, it is a machine there, and in Air Force, in the armed forces controlling, it becomes multifold. There's
Right.
life, there's a lot of things involved in it. So they understand how they basically I mean, I'll just run you through how we are selected. So first we apply. I mean, this is ATC is like now also it's the same thing. Male or female candidate, they apply on the open positions that come up in by the armed forces, like Air Force, Army, Navy. Even Navy has ATC. So they apply on the open thing. Like in our times, we had employment newspaper or Rozgar newspaper. Now it's all there in the websites. Campus recruitments happen and all that thing. So after you apply, you have to go and clear SSB. So primary thing is to clear service selection board. And after you
Okay.
clear your service selection board, and that is you get selected. So it's a 5-day selection process, and it's again staggered in the way that, like, you get first round of clearance, and the second round of clearance, and then the third round when you clear it. After that, you go for the medicals. And in medicals, again, pilots and ATC officers have more stricter, stringent rules. That is, your eyesight has to be good, your hearing power has to be good, because these are the two body organs which have to be in tangent with what your mind is thinking. So,
Right.
medically, you have to be perfectly fit. And thereafter, after you cross all these selection criterias, then they understand, go through your profile based on, because we have a psychometric test done in SSB. So based on your qualification, your other things, you are basically then considered for this branch. And then
Okay.
you go through this normal routine, that is like you get your call letter and you join. And in the due course, when you are trained for this, then you
Mhm.
are basically, you are coached in such a manner that you gear for this particular ATC, and then
Okay.
you go for specialization course. So like we have gone for basic ATC course, and after that, I mean, it's a 1 year long process of training us. And then we go for OJT, that is on job training. And I mean, it's like, till today, when I took my RT and I said cleared for takeoff. So this is the most happiest moment of my life. So to achieve that level, we go through 1 year of rigorous training. We have simulators in academy, Dindigul, that is in AFA. We have simulators where you're given different types of machines. I mean, different types of aircrafts. You control on all of them. So you have to understand their endurance level, their turbulence level, their speed, everything, because every machine has its own speciality. So you
Right.
have to understand the machine and the man behind it. So we go through all these process of training, and then yes, we come out as air traffic controllers, and then we are given the RT and we allowed to say clear for takeoff. So that's the, I mean, like, as an any air traffic controller would tell you, that's the thing. It's like you've really achieved the best degree or best qualification in your life. It's like a pilot first time rolling out his aircraft. For us, it's cleared for takeoff. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, ma'am, after your time with Air Force, you joined the corporate world,
Yes.
and there you've worked in various roles that you've had. Could you just share what are the roles, what are the kind of profiles that you worked in?
I'll have to first hear, because I think we'll have this video published for many monobays wanting to join armed forces. So I want to put this thing in right perspective, that when we joined armed forces, we were not given an option to get permanent commission. So we were
Okay.
given extension. So and I personally felt that this was not a career assurance for us, and this was that after 10 years or after 15 years, that is how it was, that extended to
Mhm.
another 5 years, extended to another 4 years. So it was like 14 years of extension. So I chose to come out of the Indian Air Force, and
Okay.
that at that point of time, it was that option. But now that you are aware that women officers are fighting, and as we speak, my sister, Lieutenant Colonel Letitia, who fought, who paved the way for many other women officers to continue, she fought for permanent commission in the army, and she won also. So she has got a benchmark case against her name.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So, but in our times, it was not that easy, and we were given a choice whether to join, to continue, or take extension, or to come out. So I chose to come out. Now there were two options left for me. One was to pursue my ATC, which was my passion. And I just love the job because you don't carry any burden back home. You just control, you should know your subject. And it's the instant rewarding profession. It's
Right.
like you have a bent of playing games. So, that mind you have it. So you love controlling and everything. But now here I come with, it has to be a career too. So then I decided that I'll approach DGA, and then they told me that no, in a DGA it has to be, you have to be an engineer, because that is their cutoff thing. So now I could not get my engineering degree, and in the armed forces there was a lot of confusion, in the sense like they weren't very clear whether they wanted us women officers to continue or not continue. And then this
Right.
confusion, their batches also had stopped in between. So,
Right.
so the next best thing what could I do was to get into the corporate world. So I said, okay, fine. Now the next best thing what I can do is, and I had some seniors to advise me rightly, and
Okay.
including my spouse. And then he said, like, Itisha, ATC is one of the most stressful jobs in the world. It's second stressful job after neurosurgery. So, and the qualification that you have acquired in 5 years is something which not everybody can get it, and in the management it can do wonders. So, using all these cues and guidance that I had, I then decided to I applied for Director General of Rehabilitation, DGR, and I did my course from IM Bangalore. So basically,
Okay.
I was recommended for that. And then DGR runs this program. And we did a course in management. And thereafter, I went to started applying into corporates. And going back with whatever suggestions and recommendations I got to choose my next career, it was it turned out true, because every time I said I'm an air traffic controller, that became my qualifying education. you know so because even though, I mean, people not were not very aware of this particular field. But then over the period of time, thanks to various movies and novels written on ATC, and a lot of aircraft incident running in Discovery Channel, people were aware that what kind of thing. So basically, the inherent quality of an ATC is you don't take risk, and you are very, very serious in your job. So these were the qualities which worked to my benefit. And then
Right.
thereafter, a course from IM Bangalore further added on. And here I was, a package, as I would say, a package candidate. And then I started my career in the corporate world as an HR person. And
Okay.
again, I will give this due credit to the armed forces, because in armed forces, apart from a primary job, which is ATC for me as per se, we used to do a lot of secondary jobs. We don't work just for 8 hours, we work 24/7. So it's a complete grooming of an officer. He's a leader. So
Right.
he has to there are a lot of HR aspects that you learn on the way. And then when I came out in the corporate world, and I was again suggested, why not you try HR, Etisha, because HR will really help you. People will really get better things out of you. So I
Right.
started my career as an HR, and I again enjoyed being an HR, because I was in a journalist role in an IT company in Coimbatore. And they gave me a free hand. And it was wonderful, because over the period of time now, like say today, I'm in the IT side of the bank. And it helps me
Okay.
a lot. Yeah, it helps me a lot, because when you have worked in HR, and you worked when you worked in ATC as an operational person, so both put together, it's a wonderful combination. So yes, so that's how I made this transition from ATC to HR.
Okay, and now to the IT side of a bank you mentioned.
Yes.
So, there is a lot of rigidity that is felt when it comes to changing the role that you're in. So, let's say if you started as an HR as your first job or a second job, people expect you to move in that field only. What are your views on that?
See, Neha, this is where I come with a different school of thought, and I've been trying to make some changes. And it just so happened that my husband, who is a doctor, he moved to Dubai, and then I went to Dubai, and then getting a job in HR was not any difficult thing for me. But and in the Middle East, I'm talking way back in 2007, it was more of a very wrong word to say, but then HR was not HR there. It was more of a body shop. It was just
Right,
recruitment cycle. That's it. Fill in the people, comply with the visa processes, and then that is what HR was. And I felt very frustrated, in fact. And then, while I was doing the HR work, that is, I was recruiting for healthcare and hospitality industry. That is when I realized that I used to have a lot of nursing staff shortlisted for healthcare industry, and since I was handling both the vertical by myself, and
hmm,
I started sending these profiles for hospitality, and it worked
okay,
fine. Yeah. So and then countries like Philippines, where the main reason why they are in Middle East is obviously they have to send back home money, so they were open to do parallel transition and shifts, and take experiments, and that gave me an idea. I said that makes quite a lot of difference, in the sense because sometimes what happens, you are a very good professional, but when you continue to do in the same field, the same job every day, you get bored. So
absolutely.
you why not take a shift? And Dubai is a classic example, because people over there, 70 to 80% of the people, I mean, we're not talking about CXO levels. We are talking about even CXO levels, for that matter. I remember Infosys had done this. Infosys had their HR had put as CFO.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that was way back in early 2000s. Yeah, they had done that, and CFO was put into HR. So basically, this is the reason why this rotation was required. So when the organization was doing rotation in order to let people understand what the other person is, grass is not always green on the other side, as long as you go and put in the same shoes. So for
Right.
me, it was like that. And then I, by default, because my husband was into transferable jobs, he used to move countries, different countries, so I could not stick on to HR. Like, let's say, when I was in Dubai, I was in HR, then I was headhunted and I was put into operations, in thick operations. I was into facility management company, which was into war torn areas, and I used to go to war torn areas in Iraq and Kuwait. So
Okay.
yeah, so then I realized that HR is a good thing, because it helps you understand the human resource as an asset, and thereafter, how about get using the same qualification in operations? So, and then I, by default, because I was moving different countries with my husband, then when I moved to Botswana, I realized that even while I was in Dubai, there was emiratization happening. So they were very particular that in for HR, they were going to have their own Emiratis. So, and the same thing happened in Botswana, in South Africa, that they preferred in HR or administration, they preferred their locals. So I went into organ operations. I went into healthcare industry. So basically, when I went to Botswana, and then my husband suggested that why we are looking for somebody who can work on, healthcare quality assurance, and
Okay.
I mean, as an air traffic controller, I always had an eye for detail. So I got into quality assurance. I started working with WHO, and uh, I was working with Ministry of Health in Botswana, and under the stewardship of my husband. And then I got into statistics and understanding, and then we brought the mortality rate. So that gave me a different vertical of experience. So it was like
Right.
as long as, I mean, coming back to your question, that how do you think people should make a transition? I mean, go with the flow. For me, I had no other choice. I could never plan my career. I had to just go with the flow. Now, when I came back to India, again, I had BFSI industry open to me, and I had my friend and my colleague who suggested, Itisha, get into BFSI industry, and that's the upcoming industry in India, and you'll do good. Because I had done my corporate finance from IIM Bangalore, so for me, that was the next best thing to get into it. So when I got into BFSI industry, then there was no looking back, because I started my career as a business analyst, and then I progressed it. And then I realized that, when I was a BA, and I used to envisage, I used to have a plan, I used to, we have something called business requirements, and then FSDs, we
Right.
used to give it to our IT people. And then finally, I started thinking that, why not I just make simple flow charts, one box, one box, one box, and then tell them, okay, here it goes like this, like this, like this. So, I started interacting with my IT team, and then I realized that I so much belong here, because again, this is like, you're back into ATC mode, wherein you have instant rewards, you just do your work, and then you don't have to bother much on other things. So as long as you do deliver it. So yeah, so that's how it happened. And I personally feel that why in India it was very difficult for me initially to get into the job. I mean, again, I would say that my network helped me, because I was from the Airforce and the IM network, which helped me. But if I was, let's say, a simple candidate, because I've tried that also, when I was like any other candidate sending my CV, I would get calls from HR saying that, oh, Itisha, you know what, you lack domain knowledge. You've not worked in one particular industry. And I would always argue with them and say that, listen, I have worked in varied industries. I've worked in
Right.
IT, I've worked in KPO, then I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in different countries with different ethnicity. Don't you think this should add value to my profile, that rather than telling me that these are
Questioning it.
questioning it? Exactly, people pay money to go to different universities to understand what is working with multi-ethnicity, and here you have a profile. But then they were so dog-minded, and they said, no, 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 we're just looking for one profile. No, no, Tisha, you're a good profile, but then this is what we are, we've got this requirement. So that is when I realized, no, we have to break these barriers. And that is why when you and me spoke the other day, while we were discussing how to, break these barriers. I mean, there is no harm if somebody is, I mean, today we have an MBA T wala.
Absolutely.
Okay, and he's proved that the entire business mantra that he learned in the MBA, he used it for tea stall. I mean, and this is nothing wrong. We had KFC centers, KFC franchise shown, taught to us as case studies. Now, what is KFC? KFC is chicken wala, right? So
Right.
so so basically, they have to now. I mean, I still remember, they were, I mean, I was working in a company which was into medical transcription. I mean, there were times when the doctors are supposed to be only doctors. Now, everybody is not going to set up a clinic, and there's no requirement of so many hospitals around, and there's so many doctors' consumption. So, medical transcription or an underwriter of insurance companies was the next best thing you could utilize your degree for. So,
Right.
that kind of a transition or a changeover or wearing different caps. So, I always write in my profile that I've worn different caps. And I have feathers in my caps, because that is how it is. So it is important that people should not think that, okay, fine, if this does not work for me, because that's how it happened. I never let it go. I was very clear, because this is something I'll give the credit to the work culture that I learned in Dubai. people over there from different ethnicity and different nationalities, they come there because they have to stay there. Like Europeans come and work in Dubai because they have to, they love the sun. So now it is the love of the sun which pulls them back to do, makes them do any kind of job. They don't mind being,
Right.
I mean, titles don't hold value there. As long as you know you're very clear that you have to work. Now, during lockdown, again, lot many of us have learned different things, and at professional level, not many of us are being laid down. Even today, you find, Google laid off 12,000 people. Now, when people are being laid off, I mean, idea is that, okay, fine, if this is not working, this job is not working, because every job gives you a different kind of experience, exposes you. You build your own network. I mean,
Right.
in different roles that up, and today the world is becoming flat, and so should the organizations become. And when you become a flat organization or a flat world, I mean, titles really hold no value. So
Right.
it is important that people should think that it is my objective is to work, and I have to work. And again, it's not about I have to be in Manhattan, I have to be in Silicon Valley. Even if you're making that amount of money in tier 3, tier 2 cities, is as good as you being a Silicon Valley professional. So, these kind of mindset changes have to happen per se, especially in India. I'm not saying it's not happening. It's happening. It's slowly happening now in Bangalore. I met with a software engineer who was proudly driving a Uber cab.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
yeah, and he was playing such lovely songs. Trust me, Neha, I'm not lying a bit on this. He was playing Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler, and we had a conversation on it. And then I said, dude, you don't seem to be a driver per se. And then he said, no, ma'am, actually, I'm a software engineer. I'm a guitarist, and this is what I'm doing. So now this is not wrong. So the society also has to accept it. I still remember, like, I mean, I don't know whether I'm digressing or not, but when I joined Indian Air Force, and then I was the star kid of my family, because I was not only the first woman from my family, which has almost 21 armed forces personnel,
Oh,
officers
wow.
in the Air Force and Army and Navy too now. And apart from that, I was the first girl from my college from Agra. So now here I till today get somebody asking, why did you leave Air Force? Oh, that was a very good job. And I was like, hello, that was good. But over the period of 20 years, I probably have achieved more things in life. It's not about your bank balance, it's about your experience, exposure, different countries, different people that I have. You're on my LinkedIn, you'll see that I have different people from different nationalities. I have very good friends from Botswana still connected with me. So, or people from Kuwait, Dubai, Muscat. I mean, name the countries in Middle East. I have my colleagues from there. So that kind of exposure, you only get it when you're ready to expand, ready to
Right.
think beyond your nose, think beyond this. And the society has to accept you. They have to accept that this person who is experimenting, I mean, Vasco da Gama wouldn't have been a Vasco da Gama had he not ventured out, right? So
Absolutely.
so that's how now people have to get into that mode. I mean, I was speaking to another forum, a career forum, which is basically using a transition thing for the armed forces officers to the corporate world. And I was telling them, why are you guys not looking at Africa? Yeah. Now, Africa is another good place where the Indians are accepted. Indians can do wonders there and make a wonderful living for themselves. So
Right.
that is the kind of thing now India has to get. The Indian professionals have to understand that I have to come out of my comfort zone and learn to experiment and learn to change. And when this change uh, happens by masses, That is
Right.
when reverse change will happen, that the HRs will not come back and say you don't have domain knowledge or you've not worked in one industry for so many years. So they will
Right.
change. Like how in the Middle East things are changing now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So does that
So,
answer you?
yes, absolutely. I also wanted to ask you that you worked with the armed forces, you worked with the corporate sector. What is your take on the Agniveer scheme?
Oh, it's a wonderful scheme, Neha, let me tell you. I mean, see, I mean, I've always been asked by many people saying that, oh, you are the initial Agniveers of the armed forces. Agreed, we are the initial Agniveers in the sense like we were in the officer cadre, we were present gazetted officers, but the policies were not clear during our times, right?
Right.
Now, I'll just touch upon the policies because I'm very passionate about this, and you would see that I post a lot of things on that as well. The reason why I'm saying this is because this was something, there were certain promises, that was happening. And that is why we are in the court asking for our pro rata pension. And because we were told that the pensionary benefits were given, it was advertised. And on that basis, I
Right.
still remember this was advertised. And there's no two permanent president commission. There's only one president commission. And that was the baseline of my sister's legal fight of 12 years, and that is how she won it. And the bench agreed that this is wrong. Now, coming back to, if you leave apart the policy as such, for our times it was bad, it was wrong, and they have to be corrected. But Agniveer comes with a complete clear cut model.
Right.
Agniveer is very clear that you're going to be there for 4 years. Yeah. You're going to be there with the salary that is given for non-commissioned personnel. And you're also going to be trained. You're going to be given a degree in hand, right? And
Right.
then thereafter, you'll be also given some gratuity money. So in all, you will come out after 4 years with 12 lakhs. Now, this is an model which is rolled out for young students from 17 years plus. Yeah.
Right.
Now, they are, I mean, there was something this, similar to this, there was used to be Sanic schools, which are still there. Now, in Sanic schools, cadets used to prepare themselves only for armed forces. Their
Okay.
only objective was to get into armed forces. Now, Agniveer is a prelude to getting into armed forces. Let's say a candidate who is 17 or 18 years, and he clears for Agniveer. Now, there is a selection criteria in Agniveer, by the way. It's just not
Right.
that it's like, you anybody can get into it. So there's a selection criteria. So once you clear that selection criteria and you become an Agniveer, I would call it as a cadet training. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
cadet training for 4 years. After 4 years, when you come out, let's say you've not made it into the selection criteria, because out of 100 selected candidates for Agniveer, 25% will be retained based on their performance, right? So,
Right.
and armed forces, yes, there is no doubt armed forces has to have young force, and that is how the world over it functions. Not everybody.
Absolutely.
Israel has it for 4 years, France has it for 4 years, US has it for limited years. So that's how the world functions. Now, let's say these 4 years Agniveers, out of that 25% who continue, who make it inside and become permanent commission, that is, they get permanent, and then they have a career progression. Now, let's say 18-year-old boy who has joined as an Agniveer. By 22, he has come out on a civil street. He's come with a graduation. He's come with 12 lakh rupees. He's also come out with savings, mind you. Because in armed
Yeah.
forces, non-commissioned people, practically everything is free of cost. Your food, your boarding, your lodging, everything is taken care. Now,
Okay.
to you, I mean, I always say, don't ever think that, I mean, when I'm at zero, I shouldn't think I'm going to be 100%. Yeah, I'm at that 100 level. No, you're at zero. And from zero, if you made a progress to 20% or 30%, look at that graph, because you can't directly reach to 100%. Yeah. So when
Absolutely.
you are in Agniveer, you were at zero. When you got selected, you were at zero. Yeah, and that is why you wanted to be there. From zero, you become a 30%. Okay. And in that 30%, when you come out, you can utilize that qualification, the training, and mind you, I in my entire talk with you, I must have quoted 101 times I owe it to armed forces. Yeah, is
Yeah.
because the training is out of the world. No, I mean, I still remember when I joined IM, and we had our Major General from DGR addressing the students. And then we had the Dean from IM Bangalore, Professor Apte, who was the Dean and the Director then. His opening statement was that I don't have to teach armed forces personnel what is management. Yeah.
Right.
The management, the biggest management, what do you say? Marketing, what do you say? You have to tell how to sell a pen, right? Now,
Right.
here you're selling the nation, the flag, the love for the mother India, which is very intangible. And you are asking them to give away their life. Can there be a better marketing strategy than this? No,
Absolutely not.
no, right. So here, what I'm saying is when Agniveer comes out of 4 years, he has learned, I mean, all said and done, the education qualification that India throws out today is not practical education. It's not application-based education. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, when Agniveer comes out, he has learned life skills, you know, by default. I mean, like, I was not a great swimmer. I was not a great, badminton player. I was just a very normal, average thing. I putting a hand everywhere. But then when I joined Air Force, swimming is something mandatory, right? So this is life skill. It made me daring. It made me adventurous. It made me go out of the box. It made me think life can be, let's take it with the flow. I mean, these are the words that I've used in last thing. That is what Agniveer is going to be. 4 years, you've
Right.
learned so many things. And if you go by the data and the statistics today in this country, you are creating leaders in in the country who are going to be responsible citizens of the country eventually,
Absolutely.
and we are not going to take it lying low, because that is where it is. The training is as such, so they are not going to be the losers at any point of time. Now, to think that the armed forces is a job, is an employment source, is wrong. First of all, like, let me tell you, we serve the nation. We never said
Absolutely.
you're employed by the country. We always give, you are serve the nation, be it any cadre, be it
Right.
officer or non-commissioned officer. So the thing is, when you're serving the nation, right, so that is one is sense of patriotism. There's respect in the society, which I always get it. Being a woman officer, I mean, I till today, I remember I was meeting my bank's MD, and I said, I'm flying officer Atisha. I mean, he literally stood up and he had respect for me. Now, that kind of respect, you don't get it anywhere else. I mean,
Absolutely not.
that takes away. I mean, it takes away all your pains, griefs, everything. That moment is your moment, right? And you get this moment every now and then. So, as an Agniveer, I don't think he or she is going to be at any loss eventually, because if he is looking at this particular Agniveer as a way to, okay, I did not make it, because see, competition and selection are part and parcel of any job. Yeah. So why not
Absolutely.
armed forces? Armed forces will also use these clauses, because end of the day, armed forces need people to perform. Yeah. And your biological clock, when it takes, certain things take over. That's beyond your control. So armed forces is very clear that they need to have young force. But at the same time, what the Agniveers are coming out, I mean, that is where people have these issues. Oh, we are not going to be given pension. Oh, we are coming after 4 years. And they, but 4 years, you've got the whole lot of long life with you. I was 27. I mean, I don't till today have grudge that I think I've made a right decision, because when I came out after 5 years, I had the age at my hand. I chose corporate world. I did my career progression accordingly. And here I am sitting very contented and happy with what I achieved in life. So, and I'm yet to achieve. I'm still on my way there. So, that is
Absolutely.
how it is. And you meet any veteran anywhere in the world, he is never sitting lying low or sitting thinking that life has just passed by me. No, they don't do that. I mean, I'll bring this use this your forum to quote one mariner I met in Botswana. He was 75 plus. He was a royal mariner from US mariner. Now US
Okay.
mariner are the niche thing, right? They
Yeah.
are class apart. I mean, the kind of training, the rigor they go through, they're tough, right? Now, when I met him, he came to my house and he was doing plumbing job. He came in a Pajero. He was doing my plumbing job, and I said, Robert, you're a mariner, and here you are, and then he just didn't turn out to be just a plumber for me. He opened his Pandora box and he came up with so many beautiful stories, his trip to Japan and how he traveled and what all he faced and other thing experiences and all. I mean, he was much beyond the marina, right? So
Right.
because he was a plumber, he was a storyteller and all that thing. And then I looked at him, and then because my husband is also an Air Force officer, he's from the medical corps, and then we both kept on looking at him, and it's like, there's a lot of things to learn from him. Now, that is what is going to be the future in this country. If Agniveers are there, they're going to help the country shape into a beautiful way, because they're going to be the trendsetters. They're going to be, because the corporates have now started opening. Let me tell you, the corporates are very, very clear now that they want, they are certain. I was sitting with my HR the other day, and we were talking about what does an armed forces personnel bring on the table and what the others cannot. And to quote unquote, I mean, I will tell you, my senior management felt, they said, what is project management in IT? Yeah, it's also, yes, it is obviously to understand the workflow, but that anybody would take 3 years to or 3 months to understand, right? But
Right.
when you bring a forces person, he's astute, he's very clear, and plus, what he brings on the table is a loyalty, sincerity, discipline, self-discipline, motivated, proactive. These are the jargons that are thrown, can I now something which you can guarantee it. So you don't have to do background verification, right? Everything is
Absolutely.
clear. So that is what corporates are understanding, that I mean, when the defense personnel comes into your organization, he will do or die. That's his attitude, because he is not let it go. It becomes a part of his DNA. So I am very optimistic that Agniveers will bring the society to a different level, and
Hmm.
they personally will also get rewarded. And at all times, they should understand that if I'm here, I'm going to be here. Because if you're dreaming of being there, you just can't just have a steep high there. You have to take your baby steps. Agniveer is a
Absolutely.
better baby step, because it has in 4 years it has shaped you as a wonderful candidate with respectability in the society, plus acceptance in the society, in contrast to just coming out of some college and with no life skill training, with no understanding of working with the team, and then you are just a raw candidate. And but here Agniveer will be a seasoned candidate, a trained candidate. So
Right.
corporates will grab it. And let me tell you, gone are those days when there was another argument that Agniveer people had, that we would be only in security services. No, today, I mean, there are so many of armed forces personnel who are into every field. I am into IT side of the bank, right? There are so many I meet now and then, and I find they are into operations, they are into strategy roles, they are into various other roles. I mean, security services, yes, we definitely have we have a majority there, but It's not that we just are confined to that. We are we
Right.
it highly depends upon the candidate how he wants to explore the world and the job
Yeah.
opportunity. So yeah, so
So,
my
ma'am,
thumbs up
if
for
I were
Agniveer.
so if I were to ask you for one tip for the freshers, what they should keep in mind to have a successful career, what would be your tip with so much of varied experience that you've gathered across countries?
One tip: just be yourself. Follow your conviction. Don't listen to anything. You'll be a achiever. The world
Oh,
does not know you. You know yourself the best. You are the best judge of yourself.
right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma'am, for joining us today and sharing your journey and your experiences with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nia. Thanks for having me over. Thanks a ton, and nice to see you face to face.
So that was Flying Officer Itisha, retired, sharing with us her career journey, how she was in the first batch of women being, taken into armed forces in our country, and what kind of learning she had working in the armed forces, even though due to policies she could continue only for 5 years at that time. But the learnings that she had, the overall development of her personality, of her skills, which she's carried through her life, through her career, it gave her the confidence to be able to explore new options, get more understanding of any work that she's doing. So, and what she said about the Agniveer scheme, that people who will get trained in that scheme will not just be learning one skill or one area of work. The concept that they would be only good in security jobs is an absolute myth. The armed forces give you life skills training and training into various aspects of team management, administration, how to handle high pressure situations. All these things would add a definite advantage to a 22-year or a 23-year-old who comes out of the Agniveer scheme, giving them an added advantage of having practical knowledge more than just the theoretical knowledge that even the MBAs who do the 2 months training as a summer training as a part of their course would not have. If you have any questions that you want to ask her, do write to us in the comments below and we'll get back to you. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.